We didn't.
That's okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode today. We are so excited to have you here. Again, I hope you enjoy our fun, just nuttiness, for lack of a better phrase, at the beginning of each show. Right now. We're excited because you have decided to come and watch the show today. You could be anywhere on the web, and we're honored that you're here celebrating with us another episode today. So I'd like to invite you to take a minute, click the love button, click the share button, comment below, let us know where you're joining us from so that more people can enjoy the show with us today. My name is Jessica Dugas. I'm an intuitive mentor and energy healer.
And my name is Donna Brown, and I'm a holistic wellness practitioner. And this is The Breakthrough. It's the spiritual view for your soul and mind, where we dig deep on today's spiritual hot topics and inspire you with stories of those breakthrough moments that change our lives.
Yes, and it's another fantastic show today. So I'd like to ask you all to comment below and let us know how many of you feel empowered in every area of your life. My guess is that, like many of us, you have different areas where you probably feel more empowered and confident than others. But on today's show, we have our friend and a personal mentor of mine, Jolianne, who's going to be joining us today and sharing us about her breakthrough moments in becoming empowered in her life. So if you have those different areas of your life where you feel like I could probably use a little more empowerment, you definitely want to tune in today and share with other people that you know also need to be empowered as well. But of course, we've got to get started with today's show with our hot topics, which means we need to bring on our panelists today. So first up, we've got our friend and resident declutter coach and consultant, the fabulous Heather Clark is on the show today. And we also have, yay, happy dance. And then we also have the amazing talented, multi-passionate meditation teacher / designer / photographer / the queen of juicy conversation, Miss Tara Abram is on the show today. Welcome, Tara. You love my intro.
I was gonna say, Tara didn't do her dance because you guys were talking about the music and everything like that. That's why I came in doing a dance.
It cuts off when you add me in, so I don't fully hear what you say, but I just
Well, thank goodness.
There's belly dance now.
Well, I'm excited to jump into our conversation today. Donna, what are we talking about?
So today we are talking about minimizing the human experience, which I think we're doing really well with already.
It's so funny because I love that we can come on this show and be our silly human selves. Anybody that we chose originally to be panelists on this show, we can let loose and have a good time. We don't take ourselves too seriously. I mean, we have those moments, right, where we can be, in our spiritual meditation and all of that, goodness. But I think it's important to let loose and have fun and all of that. And I am just like shining from the light in my window.
See, now I was thinking opposite. I'm like,
shining down on you.
I'm in the spotlight.
You've got this aura around you from the moonlight shining on.
It's crazy. If it was nighttime, I would totally say that.
I'm going with your background.
It does. It's it. But I wanted to talk about this today because I don't know how many of you know or follow Teal Swan, but she had said on a video recently, she was talking specifically about different human qualities that we have, that it's like we try so hard to try to cut them off. And I put out a blog last week or a couple days ago, beginning of this week, that talked about being a people pleaser and how I'm not in a space in my life anymore where I want to get rid of that, even though that everybody says like, oh, it's that, you know, being a people pleaser is bad. It's bad for you. It's bad for them. It's bad for everybody. You should just cut it off. And what Teal was talking about in her video was that, you know, a lot of times we try to minimize these human qualities of ourselves. We try to cut them out instead of trying to embrace them or make them positive, or, you know, using them in a way that is beneficial for us and other people. And she described it as it would be like just cutting off your arm and throwing it aside and just going, I just didn't feel like part of me. Like it's part of your body, it's part of who you are. And that's kind of how, I mean, we've had this conversation on Hot Topics before about the sort of expectations that are put on spiritual leaders a lot of the time, that we can't or shouldn't behave a certain way or participate in certain things. And so, I mean, I just love that all of us kind of embrace our humanness. What do you think, Donna?
Well, I agree. And I think we need to embrace all of that. You know, I think we need to embrace the good and the bad, and really find our authentic self within the good and the bad, or the dark and the light, or whatever words you want to use there. Because ultimately, if you're trying to get rid of or hide the darkness or the light, or the darkness or the bad, or whatever word we want to use, for me, I find I get sick, or I get really down and depressed, because it's like I'm letting go of a family member or something. I don't know. It's just because it's part of who we are. And so I think we need to embrace that and figure out, you know, how can we make this good or this bad side of us good, I guess, or for lack of a better word there, you know, and embrace it and just nurture it and go through life and pull from both of it, because we need that. You know, we need to be able, otherwise we're going to have people walk all over us all the time if we're not, you know, hanging into that side of ourselves too. So what do you think?
I think though that we have to get away from this good and bad as far as those qualities are concerned, because like I said, with the article that I put out about being a people pleaser, you can Google people pleaser and it's all bad. It's all like, you know, people pleasers are like the bottom of I mean, it just makes it out to be this awful thing. And so like I went back to the beginning and I said, okay, let me be a good homeschool mom, and I'm going to go to the dictionary and see what to please mean. What does to please mean? And it simply means to bring out happiness and joy in other people and circumstances. How the hell can that be bad?
Right.
Be bad? And so it's just finding that, you know, instead of seeing it as this bad thing, let's take that and put a new spin on it. Let's embrace being a people pleaser, but make sure that you're pleasing yourself first, that you're putting yourself before, you know, so that you can help other people and bring joy to other people. Give me some thoughts, Heather.
Sorry, I was about to sneeze. So if you saw me going, I was like ready to sneeze. So I mute myself and I'm like, no sneeze. So that's one for the bloopers. Yay. But so the people pleasing, not only that, but just like the human experience that we have, it's the reason why we are who we are and who we attract, who we are around. And when we ignore that, when we don't embrace that, then what's the point? Like, what's the point of having friends? What's the point of having like all this stuff and everything like that, just because of the fact that, you know, you're just trying to be somebody that you're not.
I agree.
Bring
it home, Tara.
Well, I think that oh, don't get my giggles going now. You won't be able to make me stop. It's Friday, right?
It's all in the green room, so you might as well bring it out here too.
Was there wine back there?
I know.
No, some of us are Canadian, and we just had the legalized marijuana in the green room.
Yes.
Yeah, that was some great cookies there, Jessica.
I had to put that out there.
I said there would be plants back there, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Cookies. I don't know what.
No cookies today. What do you think, Tara?
Oh my.
Humanness.
Well, I think that's like, I mean, absolutely. I think that we have to embrace who we are and our quirkiness and stuff. And I think like for a lot of us, especially because we've come a lot, we do these shows and we come on live, it's taken time for us to be able to allow ourselves to be ourselves. And, we've had to work through things to get to that place. But when it comes to like people pleasing, I think as long as you're not using it as a crutch, so that you're not actually, addressing things that you need to address yourself. And so you're using it as a distraction to, you're using it as, a distraction to not actually maybe, look at like what you need yourself. So I think what Jessica is saying is so true. Like, as long as you're loving on you and you're making sure that you're taken care of, because often as moms, we can do that. We can put ourselves aside and go, oh, I do it oftentimes. I don't eat all day because I've been busy doing this and helping the kids with that. But that's not really looking after what the needs of my body are, right? So I think sometimes we can get a little bit into that place, but definitely, like, what's wrong with helping other people, and what's wrong with lifting up their spirits and making their day better? If you can have the opportunity to do it, then I think absolutely, like, why not? And Heather's so right. Like, I think you just start to attract the people when you become and yourself, and you show that yourself authentically to others. Then you do draw in your like buddies, your tribe, that kind of thing. So I think then it just, you're living from that place of authenticity. So
I think the more you embrace your authentic self, and the more you really discover, you get back to basics, if you will, of who you came here to be, who are you exactly. I think the more you get in touch with that, just know like your circle is going to change and stuff anyway, because first of all, a lot of people don't understand this journey of self-discovery. There's just so many people. I mean, it was me included up until a few years ago, that just kind of float along doing what we think we're supposed to do. We don't try to change things. We don't try to empower ourselves, which we're going to talk about soon. We don't really take care of ourselves or anything like that. And so I think that it's important to know that when you're getting in touch with who you are, and getting back to basics, if you will, your circle is going to change anyway, and you'll attract those good people. But I described it recently of like this kind of revolving door of relationships. It's really interesting how things change. But I think it's getting back to our original topic. It's so important that we embrace our human qualities and the things about us that makes us human. And we have the choice at any given moment, whether we view a quality we have as something negative, or can we put a spin on it that's gonna help us look at it in a different way. Because I don't think that walking around feeling guilty about a way that we are is helping anything at all.
And something that when Tara was talking, something that popped into my head was, we always are telling, and other spiritual leaders are always saying, in order to move forward, you need to help other people. But then we tell you not to be a people pleaser.
Right.
So isn't that kind of a contradictory kind of statement? I mean, I do realize that we need to take care of ourselves. And sometimes we do things because we out of guilt or trying to be a pleaser. And sometimes it's not in our best interest and we end up sick or whatever. But in general, aren't we supposed to kind of be people pleasers and kind of help people too?
Yeah. It's just seeing a different side of that. I mean, instead of seeing it as this, some of us, and this is what I had kind of pointed out in the article, some of us feel that calling from the moment we wake up in the morning, that we want to make the world better in some kind of way. And I think that is an amazing, beautiful thing to kind of to embrace. And so I think spiritual leaders whether it's us or other people, need to be very cautious of the wording that's used as far as telling people to get rid of part of themselves that feels so natural. I think we have to be careful about that, because we don't know what each other's experiences are. And I can't tell you how many times I've been told, for me, like, you shouldn't be such a people pleaser. I put myself first every day. I make sure I get up before my children to do my meditation, to take my vitamins, to do the things that I need to do to take care of myself. So for anybody to say, you know, Jessica, you shouldn't do this, like, you don't live my life. You don't know, you know, what I do. And so I think we just have to be really cautious as spiritual leaders of trying to minimize other people's experiences, and their very human qualities. It's normal.
Well, it's making sure that we have the boundaries, and we're using those boundaries when, you know, allowing other people into our, you know, our lives, spiritually or not, or whatever, and making sure that those boundaries are set for ourselves, our family, and then, you know, then we can worry about the people pleasing areas and stuff like that. But yeah, calling a people pleaser now it's just sort of redundant. I'm like, okay, now I'm seeing people pleaser. I'm like, I like it now. Like how you're saying everything. Yeah.
Well, you know, too, though, when you go back to like history and you look at tribes and cultures that really embraced who they were and their practices, it really was about community, and it was about joining together. And, you know, when food was limited, if one found, like, you share with the community, because, you know, when they find, they'll share with the community. So, I mean, you can't say that that's a people pleasing thing. That's just about coming together as a community. And I'm sure back then they didn't hide who they were and, you know, hide parts of themselves when they really embraced, you know, their culture and their spirituality and what they did, and living in a community. We've drifted away from that over the years. So I think that's where you can get that stereotype of you're a people pleaser, right? But I think if it's coming from the right space and the right intention, I mean, I don't see any harm when you're spreading pixie dust and doing good and trying to help others, right?
Unicorns.
Shiny unicorns.
Shiny unicorns.
Sparkly. I like sparkles. I want sparkles.
Sparkles. There was a meme that came out not long ago. Actually, it was a little while ago now. I have no concept of time today. So it said something about, I just want to carry glitter around in my pocket. And when someone says something mean, just
I think I remember that meme, and I'm like, I totally would do that. I would be that person that would just go.
I do that.
Doesn't that sound magical?
Salt, Jessica. I do that with salt. You take the Him salt and I go.
Oh my gosh, ladies. All right. We have to get to our special guest today, but we would love to continue to hear from you about our hot topic below. So make sure you continue to interact with us in the comments. But without further ado, I want to welcome our special guest on the Breakthrough today. Our guest is the mind, body, and spirit detox specialist behind Divinely Rooted. And I would love to welcome her today. She's been an awesome mentor for me in my life, and I'm psyched to have her on the show. So everybody, please welcome, hit the heart button for Jolianne today. Yay! We are so excited you're here.
Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. And so let me start off. First of all, I'm going to have you say your name for us, because Donna and I decided that we need you to make a whole video in a French accent just so we can listen to it. That's what we've decided.
Yes.
So go ahead.
I listened to your name over and over and over again the other day when Kristen said it to me. I was just like, I love her accent when she talks in French.
Okay, but first I have to say that even in French, people do mess my name.
That's okay.
So
we don't care. We just want to hear you say it.
Oh, okay. So my name, when I pronounce it in French, is Jolianne Tremblay-Belzile.
See?
That just sounds so romantic.
I know. We all feel better now. Thank you.
I meant to have you do that in the green room, and I got sidetracked and forgot.
So yeah, when I do speak to English-speaking people, I feel like I have to kind of mold my name so that they can understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I
true.
like it though. I could listen to it all day. I mean, but that's why I have hypnosis with you, so I can listen to it. All right. So we're really excited that you're here today to talk to us about empowerment in your life, because it's something that I think everybody could use a little bit more of to feel more empowered and confident. But I would love to hear from you too, just really briefly, as we were talking about our hot topic. Do you in your life feel like you can embrace these very human qualities about yourself? How has that kind of played out in your life?
Yes. Oh, there's so many things that I want to say about this. I was listening to the discussion and a lot of things came up. One of the first thing is that sometimes we get stuck in our mind and we think that we just have to be this perfect little being that does the right thing all the time and they experience the right emotions and the positive stuff, positive emotions. Everything's happening is good and all that. And if we feel like we're not our ideal self, it's like we're putting too much pressure on ourselves, and then we start feeling guilty. We start feeling like we're not good enough, that we're doing things wrong, that there's something wrong with us and all that. So we're human. We are having human experiences, and those good or bad experiences are happening for a reason. And those painful experiences, they're meant for us to grow. They're meant for us to get a different perspective. They're there for us to learn from these experiences. So it's all part of the process. It's all part of the journey. And if we wouldn't have been willing to do these experiences, whether they're good or bad, we wouldn't have come on this planet.
Yes. And I've said that for a while, just feeling that in my own self, because I see so many people just so focused on the spiritual, which is a good thing, but forgetting about the human experience. And I kept saying, Donna and I had so many conversations about this, and I just kept saying, I don't feel like we chose this life as a human for a reason. We wouldn't have if we weren't supposed to have these experiences. And I feel like I have to, give you a big thank you, because I feel like embracing more of the parts of me that have been considered bad on more than one occasion, that aren't really bad. They're just a side of ourselves we have to figure out. I have to thank you for me feeling just so strongly lately to not try to cut that out, but to just embrace it. And I think it's such a good thing. But I would love for you to start us out today with your story and sharing with us a piece of maybe what your life looked like before you felt this sense of empowerment. Like, what kind of things were you dealing with, and how were you feeling about yourself at that time?
Yes, and I have so many stories about empowerment. Life just sent me a bunch of experiences for me a bunch of opportunities for me to take my power back. And it actually took some time to do so. But there's so many ways that we can empower ourselves in so many areas of our life. But one of the things that I do want to share with you today is the most slap in the face experience that I've ever had. Because, like I said, it's like I was getting hints and messages of kind of wake up and take your power back. And I guess I wasn't listening, or I wasn't getting the message right, or I was just stubborn and I kept going the way I was supposed to be going. We're all raised of doing a certain things, and we're learning how to be in society, like how to behave and how to do things. And we're kind of forgetting who we are, forgetting that we're a human being, forgetting that it's normal to be different, because we're raised of, you have to do like the other people. So anyway, so one of the things that happened to me one of the many things that happened to me. I'm gonna say, I don't even know how to bring this up. So my daughter was born. A few weeks after she was born, I was breastfeeding, but I started to feel a bump in my breast, and a large bump. Now, I've had lumps in my breast that I've had to be checked out, that they had to be checked out since 2007. My daughter was born in 2014. So for 7 years, I had to go and get my lumps checked out regularly in the hospital or ultrasound to make sure that nothing was growing out of normal. So my daughter was born, and a few weeks after, I started feeling this lump in my breast, and I'm breastfeeding, so I'm regularly touching my breast. And so I started noticing that this is not normal. So at first I thought maybe it's a, clogged duct or whatever it is. And it starts to grow and grow and grow. And in a matter of days, it grew to a size of a golf ball. And it literally scared the hell out of me, because the thing is, there's so much fear about cancer. Breast cancer is something that's so engraved in society right now. It's something it's a huge fear that a lot of us are holding in, even though we don't have cancer, but we're so scared we might have cancer, or we have to do things so that we don't have cancer. And it happened at the time I was breastfeeding. My daughter was a newborn. Let's just say I was spending a lot of time on social media, interaction with other mommies and all that. And one person I saw an article that was shared, or a post that was shared, of someone that had just passed away of breast cancer after her second child. And it happened that she had a very familiar name, very similar to my name, which my name is not common even in French. So she had a very similar name to mine. She had breast cancer. She just had a second baby, then she had breast cancer, and then she died not that long after that. So everything to scare me even more. I went to the doctor's office, had an ultrasound, ultrasound, and they couldn't see it because I was breastfeeding, so they sent me to do a mammography. And usually they don't do that to people less than 30 years old, but they sent me for a mammography. And because I was breastfeeding, they still couldn't see well. So they sent me for a biopsy. Now, I was breastfeeding, and the person said, well, more than likely the milk is going to come out. So just beware. The biopsy was done. I got back home a few days after, when I was supposed to remove the Band-Aid. It was highly infected, because from where the biopsy was done, there was milk that came out, and it couldn't heal properly. So I went to the doctor's office. They gave me antibiotics for the infection. I took the antibiotics because, I'm trusting that these doctors, these medical experts, know what they're doing. I don't know what else to do, So I'm taking those antibiotics, and a few days after, I woke up in the morning very early, breastfeeding around 5 a.m. and the sun's coming up, and I'm covered head to toe of red little bumps. And not long after that, it started to get very itchy. So I wake up my husband and I say, I don't think this is normal. What's happening? But I've been taking those antibiotics for a few days now. So I didn't connect the dot to the antibiotics automatically. So it starts to get very itchy. So I go to the doctor's office again, and I say, okay, I'm trying to heal this very infected breast, which they just did a biopsy. I'm covered from head to toe. It's starting to get very itchy here. What am I doing? So what they did is they prescribed me another antibiotic because they said, okay, you're allergic to this one. Let's prescribe you this one. And because you're breastfeeding, we can't give you any of the medication for this allergic reaction. So you're gonna have to wait through it, and the itchiness is gonna stop. It should take about 3 days. So I was looking at them like, you're leaving me like this, like there's nothing I can do. So I got back home, and I took the other antibiotics right away because I wanted this infection to leave. You know, it's right there. I'm breastfeeding and my breast is leaking pus on the side. It's horrible. I take this second antibiotic, and then a few hours later, my heart starts to beat super, super fast. I have a trouble breathing because my heart's beating so fast. And I'm like, what's happening? I keep going because I'm a mother. I have a baby to take care of. So I put my daughter to bed. I put my daughter to bed, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna go sleep. And then I was lying in bed and I couldn't fall asleep because my heart was beating so fast. And I've been doing yoga for years, so I'm like, okay, let me just breathe and have some relaxing breath to calm my heart down. Nothing was coming down. My husband's like, okay, do you want to go to the emergency? And I said, no, Ellie just fell asleep. I want to stay home because I don't want to bring her to the hospital right now. And she's exclusively breastfeeding. So it's not like I can just leave her here and me go to the hospital. So I go through the night, I wake up in the morning, I go to the doctor's office again. Now I see another doctor because my family doctor is not here. And I say, okay, this is what's happening. Breast infected from biopsy, allergic reaction head to toe. What heart beating fast, trouble breathing, what am I doing now? So the first thing he said to me is, the first thing he said is, okay, you're allergic to this one too. And I can prescribe you another one. More than likely, you're going to be allergic to that one too. So if you do have any allergic reaction, please call 911. So I looked at the doctor and I said, okay, but how am I going to know if I'm having another allergic reaction? Because right now my body's covered head to toe of red spots. It's itchy. My heart's beating fast and I still have trouble breathing. Wouldn't it be better for me to just wait 3-4 days to make sure that the allergic reaction clears my body before I take this third antibiotic? And then the doctor said, oh yeah, you're right. So at that time, I'm like, oh my God, the doctor just said that I'm right. This is crazy. I've been trusting these doctors and they just told me I'm right. And that's the time where for me it was a huge slap in the face to come wake up. Like, yes, they know the physical body, yes, they know the drugs, but if I keep listening to them, they're just making me worse right now. Because at the end of the day, I got that itchiness, allergic reaction, head to toe, trouble breathing, heart beating fast. He said I could have passed away and I should have called 911 and I wouldn't have experienced any of this if I would have healed this infection naturally from the beginning, right? But now I was stuck in the position where I had no choice but to heal myself because I didn't have any other options. The doctor didn't have anything to help me with the allergic reaction. They didn't have anything to help me with the infection because I'm allergic to antibiotics. So I was just stuck there with nothing else for me to do. And I chose that, listen, I have to live because I have to take care of this newborn. I have to take care of this baby. So I have to do something about it. So then this is when I start to research how I can heal myself, how I can get rid of allergic reaction, how I can enhance my system to flush all these toxicity out of my body and really take my power back. And that was the most empowering thing that happened in my health history. although I did have so many other opportunities for me to get my power back, this has to be the most important one. The most important one, and the most, I don't even know how to say this, the most, and don't get me wrong, because we do need doctors. Mm-hmm. They saved my life a few times as well. And I wouldn't have been here today on this show if I wouldn't have been taking insulin and seeing my endocrinologist doctor, because if insulin didn't exist and pharmaceutical didn't exist, I would not be living right now, right? But there's a limit there of how we should trust doctors and where we should start trusting ourselves. Mm. And it's finding the right balance between trusting your own inner body, trusting the body's healing function, and then trusting the medical and allopathic and pharmaceutical system. So this is where I really took my power back, and I started to really trust myself more than trusting doctors. This, if I break a leg or if I'm in a coma or something, I need those doctors.
It's amazing, because I think several of us on this show have dealt with similar experiences with the allopathic community in general. And I agree with you. I think that it's important for us to absolutely have doctors. I think that it's important, but we have to start listening to ourselves. And I think that there's so much empowerment in that. When you had that moment and went through this whole experience, were you able to look back and see other times where you recognize you could have been more empowered? And how did you kind of deal with that, not going back in time, like, oh, I could have said something, I could have done better kind of thing?
Well, it would be easy to just say, like, oh, this was dumb, why did I do that? But this is not the point. The point here is something happened, I learned from it, and it was part of my journey, it was part of my experiences. And even in the past, like, there's other time where I listened to people because I trusted them, I trusted their knowledge, when I could have trusted my inner wisdom more. It always makes me sad when I see people for tiny little things that comes up, and they just go to the doctors and say, okay, this is the issue, this is what I'm experiencing, and the doctor's, okay, take this, take that, and it's like you're handing your file of just, you take care of my health. I don't have, it's like my health is taken care of because my doctor's looking after me. Like, it's really where we think that the doctors or, the medical professionals, I'm talking about nurses and all the other people that work in this field, even pharmacists, and we think that they know better, they know ourselves. We think that they can take care of our health. And this is how society is, because, she's a doctor, right? She has the name of MD or PhD, and we have to give that respect and listen to them because they're the people that are right. This is what we learn, and this is what they teach kids, like, from a very young age, because I see it in the shows for kids. It's like, ooh, a doctor. And so it's not just that. It's really about realizing that, yes, there are professionals in every field, and like anything, there are good ones and there are bad ones. There are people that are good at their job. There are people that are not good at their job. There are people that are, not doing the right thing. But there are people that are excelling at what they do, but there are people that are there and they're unhappy and they're not in, it's a 9-to-5 job. They're also like in this kind of cycle that they're unhappy and they're just doing what they think they're doing. But so it's really about, yes, there are professionals out there, but the most important thing, and every client that I work with, is I find that it's the most important is holding that space for them to have their trust in themselves and to have their power. And then from there, yes, work with professionals to assist them, but never to give their power back to any professional out there. Unless you're in a coma, because you can't make those decisions for yourself. But it's really important that you feel like you do things responsibly and you make those decisions and listen to the guidance of your medical professionals, but also to keep that balance between your own, because it's a fine line. I can't say this is where the line is, because the line depends on everybody, right? But yeah, I think you get the message.
Well, yes, I do. And so would you say that for you, was it more about trusting your intuition and trusting that, or was it more about researching and finding different information, or the combination of the two, if that makes sense?
Yes, I think it's really more the combination of the two, because I have to tell you that in the beginning, I did not trust my intuition. I did not trust it. It took some steps to go between trusting the doctor to trusting my intuition. In the middle, I had to kind of get slowly to it in doing all those research. Like, I was literally stuck. I had this infection, this pus coming out of my breast, and the doctors couldn't do anything for it. Nothing. Like, they left me, go home and figure it out yourself, because they have no antibiotics to give me because I'm allergic. So they had nothing to do to help me. They really, like, I was really in an experience where I was put against the wall. I had no option but to take my power back. I had no options but to do research. And at that time, I was not in a place where I would have trusted my intuition. So the research, yes, was really important.
So since, you learned this as an adult and stuff like that, and you've got your daughter that, is young, and I don't know if you have other kids, whatever, are you teaching them what you've now learned of being able to trust their body? And how are you teaching them as children?
Okay, so one of the first thing is, you know how I talked about we're being brainwashed as kids and all that. So basically it's good brainwash of saying, of putting in the subconscious mind of your child that your child can heal whatever happened. So from a very young age, I repeated to my daughter, you can heal anything. Your body can heal anything. And this is about putting that in their subconscious mind, because you give them the power. They have the power to heal themselves. And then repeating, every cell in your body is regenerating. Every cell of your body is healthy. Every cell of your body is happy. And this is all about, so I do also do hypnosis with kids, but
it's actually really cool. I like that, because that is something that, as kids you hear from TV that, go to doctor.
Yes.
Go to doctor. Whereas
and you know the song, like 5 little monkeys jumping on that one fell up, that mommy called the doctor and the doctor said, like, it's like you're giving the power, you're teaching them.
I don't have that song in my head.
It's like I was shocked on what they teach to those children. And, so when I do work with hypnosis with kids, it's teaching them that they got the power, teaching them that their body can do whatever it needs, teaching them that their body has the healing mechanisms. And yes, doctors are there, because if we do get into an accident and we need stitches or we need something that happens, we need doctors. But at the end of the day, doctors aren't healing them. The doctors are only there to assist when they are healing themselves. So this is where we're giving them the power of always giving your children the power and so yeah,
and the knowledge is giving them that knowledge that they have that power. So that's awesome. I love that. Tara, what do you think?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I love what you're saying about that, and about the subconscious mind and what we've been raised to believe, because it's so true, and our perceptions have been shifted for so many years. And for me, those doors were really opened when, I went through my own experience, and eventually I got into meditation and learning more about the science. But there's actually a lot of research nowadays on that science. And it's, it's really only kind of that last 10 years that this has really started to come to the surface about the impact that the practices that you can participate in and the power the body actually has to.
Yes. There's more and more
generate the cells, and it is amazing.
There's he was cutting for a bit, so I thought you were finished. There's more and more medical doctors. There's more and more people in the medical field that are actually talking about meditation, that they're talking about the power of the subconscious mind. Because the thing is, this is the thing, science and spirituality, they're both there. They should be working together, not as two different separate things. And I'm so happy when I do see medical doctors or doctors that are bringing those two together. And I think it's one of the person that is really, that I really enjoy is I think it's Dr. Bruce Lipton, which is, he's doing, I forgot the word, but he's doing, so he's bringing science and spirituality together, because we are like beings, we need that physical part, that emotional part, that spiritual part, that mental part, we're all one. So all these fields should be touching together at some point, right? It's so I'm so happy when I do see studies of people that are, for example, people going through, cancer, for example, that they are healing with, they're healing with different modalities that are working on the physical, but also the mental part of it, the spiritual part of it, the emotional part of it, because it's all part of it. Because if we go back to the experiences that we have in this life, if we are experiencing illnesses or disease, it's all part of learning and growing. And there's a reason, it doesn't have to be karma all the time, but there's a soul purpose to that experience, which means that it is connected to your spiritual body as well. So it's all tied up. And metaphysics is the link between the physical body and the emotional body. Everything is tied up.
Yeah, and it's so true, right? And we've been wired though for so long to believe a certain way. So we can't expect that overnight we're going to be able to flip that switch and go back. So it is a practice, and it's something that we have to instill in ourselves. And that's where when you really get into that neuroplasticity and how we can reshape our mind, and the neurons fire together, wired together, we can recreate those neural pathways. And the science on it is super fascinating. And it is, although I know I've followed Bruce Lipton and Deepak Chopra, and there's many others that this research is really coming out, and having your environment around you and how it shapes your overall well-being, and what you can do to subconsciously train those triggers. And I love that you talk about that with your kids, because I'm the same thing. I work on those mindset things with my kids on a regular basis, telling them, when I was a kid, my parents used to say, believe anything is possible. And I really have always said that. So when somebody gets a diagnosis, sometimes if they feel and I say this in a lighthearted way, but oh, I'm a goner, and they believe that, what, you know, there's a lot of research that shows that people that can be in more stressful situations but believe that stress is harmful to them, you know, when they look at statistics and stuff, and there's been some interesting studies done, you know, they don't make it because they just believed that it was harmful to them. But if they looked at it as a tool, because it's that same, it's a different type of use of energy. If they looked at it as a tool to use that energy in a different way, you know, the outcome is different. And there is, like I said, there's starting to be a lot more research coming out of it. And when you talk about doing that research, when you take that time and you look at it, you will find that there is information out there.
Yes. So I'm happy that you brought this up, because the thing is, this is how powerful the mind is. There are people that have been wrongly diagnosed with cancer that died, that did not have cancer. This is how powerful the mind is, because if you believe it, if you accept that belief, you will manifest it, whether it's good or bad. So it's so important to understand how our mind is so powerful.
Jolene, if you, I think that first of all, your story is such a powerful one, because I think that, and I know that has been the case for me as well, where I have gone to the doctors and have just heard information and just thought, well, okay, because there was just a period of time in my life where I dealt with that, where I just believed I should just, you know, hand everything over, like just listen and not express how I feel and not express the things that I was dealing with. And so I think it's a powerful story for everybody to hear today, to really just, you know, if you feel something that's different than what a professional is telling you, stand in your power and express that. Jolene, I would love for you to leave with everybody today, because we're running short on time, but I would love for you to leave with everybody. If they're feeling an area of their life where they are not feeling like they can be empowered, like they can take control of the situation, what could you leave them with today that would hopefully put them on the right path?
Okay, the first thing I would say is to follow people that inspire them, and follow people that are empowered, and just staying in that energy will help them to be empowered, and reach out to people that can also assist them in being more empowered.
I love it. I think that that's so important, and definitely I agree with that too. Surrounding yourself with people that inspire you and that are going to allow you to empower yourself, and not drag you down. I think it's so important. Jolene, thank you so much for being here today. I think it was such a great talk, and so many people, like I said, can relate.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited that we've had the opportunity to spend time with you today, and we'll see you next time, Jolene.
Yes. Bye.
All right. So ladies, listen, I'm not even going to comment about the coming around with the hot topic and all of that.
I was going to say, I'm like, I'm not going to say it.
I'm not going to do it
on air, because I got in trouble last time for not saying it on air.
I'm not going to say it. I think, listen, I've told this story before, and just about my own life. And I grew up in Groton, Connecticut, which houses the main headquarters for Pfizer Corporation. And so that area in particular is very, you know, they thrive on the scientists, on the pharmacists, on the doctors, on everybody involved with Pfizer. And so many of my friends and their parents and people that I grew up being very close to are heavily in the allopathic community. And so I grew up in that very same state of, when you go to the doctors, you go for any little thing. And when you go, you do what you're told, and you hand everything over. And I can't tell you how many times I was on a medication and saying, you know, something doesn't really feel that. And they're just like, oh, you know,
Just a side effect.
Discounting my experience. And so I do think it's really important to express how you're feeling to your team, as I refer to it now, whoever that team is, but also to shop around. We have to remember that these professionals work for us. You know, and that if they are not listening to you, if they are discounting your experience and the things that you are expressing to them, go find another professional. Find somebody else. If I leave nothing with this conversation, with anything I've said today, go shop around, please.
Well, how many parents and how many, you know, I've heard of how many stories of moms who, like, you know, the doctor's like, oh, there's nothing wrong with your baby, or there's nothing wrong with your kid, or whatever. And the mom's like, no, listen. And that mom tuition, that whatever, you're just like, no, something is not right. And then I know one woman who literally would not leave the hospital. Within 10 minutes of having this argument, the child went blue, purple, whatever, blah, blah, just stopped breathing, had an allergic reaction to whatever the doctor had given, like anaphylactic. And so, yes, they try and help us. But when if that mom had just gone home, guarantee her child wouldn't have been with us. Mm. But because she did listen to herself, she held that boundary, as I was talking before, knowing your boundaries. It's also knowing your boundaries of when to say yes and when to say no. Like, it's not just the no's, it's the yeses. Like, no, there is something wrong, or no, I'm not going to use your way. I'm going to use my way, because I know my body better than anybody else in the world. Mm-hmm. So it's doing a combination of both. That, yes, you know, using your intuition, yes, using the medical thing, but like she had said earlier, is combining those two. And that's when, the doctors that do that now, they're going to thrive, because there's a lot more people that are willing to go into that area.
Right.
And that's what I do with the NEST program. It's all about the science, because Dr. Bruce Lipton was involved in the scanning that I do with my clients. And it's all about.
Uh-oh.
We're not sure what it's all about. She froze.
Yeah, we have no idea.
She was about to have this profound.
I know, it's
all about this, and then
there she is.
Oh, hi.
Oh, technology, how we love you.
I know. Oh well.
It's been fun on here today with this. Oh my gosh.
But my internet is really sketchy today. I kept noticing that everything was freezing when Julianne was on. So I don't know what's going on with my internet either.
I'm sorry, audience. Our energy is just too powerful for this.
We can only have one panelist and one guest with the two of you on at the same
time. I know, right?
Oh my gosh.
It's our mentalness, we're putting that.
That's awesome.
Out there.
Tara, give us some thoughts from your perspective as well, because I know that you have dealt with some things on the medical side of things as well. And how has this story kind of hit home for you today?
Well, absolutely. I completely resonate with it, because it's a funny thing when we talk about intuition, because to a lot of people, intuition just seems like this spooky wooky thing. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's why when, at the beginning of her story, she said, I didn't know how to trust my intuition in the beginning. Like, why would we trust our intuition? What are these feelings that we even have? Like, and, we could talk about this and maybe not, I think a lot of people would be like, well, no, you listen to somebody that's educated, and you listen to somebody who knows what they're talking about. That's, that's their area of expertise. And I don't discount that at all. There's a lot of merit to be said. And, she had a lot to say on that. And that's, somebody needs stitches and there's accidents, like there's a purpose for it. Mm-hmm. But, there's also a lot of research on the heart and the power of the heart. I mean, there's been studies done where they'll show slides of images of people, and they can already feel almost the energy that's coming towards them before they even see what that image is. And so I think that that's where it's kind of coming from, an informed state, because if you don't look at both sides of the spectrum and you don't look at both avenues, and again, going back into like ancient tribes and healing back then, they had practices in place for a reason. So, when you look at history and then you move forward, you can learn a lot from that. And so, I really love about what she said, because like, you know, just like you were saying, Heather, when you know your child very well and they're off and you know something's not right, and you go into a doctor's office where it's completely busy and they've been swamped by people all day long, and they've got 5 or 10 minutes to maybe hear what's been going on and decide on you know, a complete situation, exactly what the result, you know, you need this prescription or this is what's happening. You know, that's vastly different than sitting down with some other, you know, integrative doctors or naturopathic doctors that I work with, and they spend 2 hours with you and they've done multiple tests and questionnaires, and they've really gathered and compiled a ton of information, and then they can say, okay, this is what we're looking at, or this is why, or let's, you know.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's really looking at both sides. And that's something that I had to do for myself. I felt really called to do it. And I explored it. And I tell you, it opened up a whole new world. And you know, just what Jessica was saying, again, it's combining that science and combining that spirituality and being able to then use others to assist you in your healing process.
Yeah, I mean, this has been such a good, such an in-depth topic, and we could really go so many other smaller directions with this as well. I think it's a great topic coming into a time of year too, when everyone gets sick as well. And so as you're experiencing these things, just know to be empowered. Learn about your own body, learn about, you know, your children, and you know, if you are voice the experiences that you have. And like I said, if you are going to a provider that does not hear what you are saying, or in any way at all discounts your experience, you need to find another route, practitioner, type of whatever it is, because you will eventually find someone who will hear you and listen to you. And that's when really I feel like the magic happens, if you will. But we are at the end of the show today. I want to thank Jolianne for being a fabulous guest. Like I said, I think it was such a good topic today. And of course, our amazing panelists, Heather Clark, our declutter coach and consultant, and Tara Abrams, our multi-passionate, juicy conversation kind of girl. And I also want to thank all of you for being here with us, whether you've been on live or on the replay. I would love to continue, and I know all the other ladies would, if you continue the conversation below, share with us about your experiences with empowerment and what your big takeaways were today. How can you show up and be more empowered in your life? We would also love for you to check out all of the links in the description of the video, because there are links there for everybody on the show. Come hang out with us in our communities, on our pages, on our websites. We would love to have fun with you there as well. But until next week, my name is Jessica Dugas, intuitive mentor and energy healer.
And I'm Donna Brown, holistic wellness practitioner. And this has been The Breakthrough. Join us next week when we will be joined with our amazing and talented panelist, Lori Ann Davis, the relationship coach, along with our guest, Claudette Gadsden, when she'll be sharing her breakthrough moment of running away. Oh, Lord, I did that one time. We look forward to seeing you all next time, same place, 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you next time. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.